If there's one thing we've learnt in the last week, it's that you don't leave Ellen Road before the final whistle. 2 big home games now to be followed by 2 big away games. First up, it's Chelsea, and this is the warm-up. Coming up for you on this week's show.
They just didn't want to face the questions.
I think he'll go right to the top.
You can't leave him out of your team.
You're so beautiful.
Let's get to the football. So welcome to the warm-up with myself, Rich Williams, and Leeds United legend Dom Matteo, all brought to you with NordVPN, the world's leading VPN provider, and details of a special offer for Leeds United fans on the screen for you right now. Dom, how are you doing? You all right?
Great, thank you. Yourself?
Good, yeah. We should just probably clear this up because it's the big question on everyone's lips at the moment, which is why the heck are we in the exact same jumper? It's not a uniform. We should have just had a chat beforehand, and
we're just very stylish.
It's a lovely jumper. It looks great on you.
Lovely, well, and so does yours.
Thank you so much.
You're so beautiful.
Let's get to the football. Leeds United 2, Brentford 2, ending those 2 home games. Look, it was a game we wanted to win, wasn't it? It was a home game that was earmarked for hopefully 3 points. In the end, it was a last gasp equaliser from Patrick Bamford. What did you make of the game?
I think first half, excellent. Looked like there was only one team going to win it. Then there was a bit of a change. Second half. Possibly down to a couple of injuries as well. We lost the captain, and then obviously I think that affected the balance of the team. But I think overall, listen, Brentford have obviously got a little bit of quality in the final third, and we've seen a bit of that. It was definitely a game that I think there was an opportunity to get 3 points. We didn't quite get that, but being 2-1 down, we showed a great spirit in coming back, and obviously Pat getting that great goal, late on. I mean, like you say, not many people, well, I think most of the Leeds fans I was around stayed in because I think they felt that something was coming, and luckily they did, because it was a great finish, great work from Ayling to get that touch, and then for Pat just to find the top bin with that. It was a good finish, actually, better than what you thought, and obviously stretching for it into the far corner. But yeah, no more than we probably deserved, and obviously Roberts as well getting his goal as well, which was very important. I think he's put a right shift in. I'm glad to see him get his goal as well. I think he has been knocking on the door for a while, so nice to see him, and hopefully more goals should follow as well.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was delighted when Tyler got his goal, just to set that great ball in from Rafinha as well. His delivery on set pieces. Ayling had a header that was almost a goal as well. It's such a threat to have in the armoury now that you've got a player who can place such dangerous balls into such dangerous areas.
I think the other teams know now on that quality. And then probably something they'll probably look at, because it's really hard to defend no matter who you are, because the delivery's so good. It's got that pace on the ball, so any kind of touch it's in, and we've seen that a couple of times this season. And even Rafa's put it in himself. Whether he's shooting there, it's just gone straight in because of the flight of the ball. But yeah, I think it's a really great thing to have a player like him with that kind of quality, that kind of delivery. And it doesn't matter how big you are. We're not a big physical team, are we really? But it doesn't matter if the delivery's right and you pile in as a team. You get your little touches, and then before you know it, it's in the back of the net.
We've got these massive Christmas fixtures coming up now, which when the fixtures came out, everyone looked at that and thought, oh, hello, December. Look at that. If we just reflect just to round up really on the 3 games we've just had, I think the main thing was obviously get as many points as you can, but don't lose any of those games. And with 5 points from the 3, they've managed to do that. Yeah,
you're right. I think, to be honest, we'd have liked another couple of points, and I think we'd have been more than happy. But hey, three games where we haven't lost. We have got a little bit of momentum going as well. Now, realistically, the games we've got coming up, you have to think about that. Last time we played Man City, for example, we got a result away. So you've got to think of the positive side of that as well. You can go to these places and we can get results. Doesn't matter what the team's going to be. We have to think positively and go into them games with the right mindset that we can get points against these top sides.
Away from the first team just for a moment or two, we know how important youth development is at any football club. We've seen the likes of Geldart, Cresswell, Somerville all make appearances, and other players as well. The FA Youth Cup through to the next round in that as well, a convincing and really well played win as well for Leeds against Coventry with a 4-1 victory.
Yeah, I mean, the FA Youth Cup, I think for anyone as a player, that's the first kind of glimpse you get of what might be on TV in a way. And you might get an opportunity that people get a look at there, and they might not have watched you play before, and I think it's important to support the youth teams and stuff. And I think it's important, obviously we've got a decent history now, we've won it a few times, so it's important that we can maybe carry on and try and do that again.
I can't help but notice your pal, Stevie G.
Yep.
Aston Villa, great start for him as well, goes back to Anfield as a manager with Aston Villa. Which way is that going to go and what are your predictions?
Well, obviously I'm backing Stevie, aren't I? Because I have to. No, but listen, I just think the job he's done already, it just shows you when you've got a player that's probably so good and so talented as a footballer, then takes it into management through Rangers and obviously working from the academy at Liverpool, now to being for me, he's going to be a top manager for years to come. And further down the line, let's be honest, I think there'll be one place he ends up, but he's got a long way maybe before he gets there. And obviously, there's other managers that'll want that position as well. But I think from what I've seen so far, he's going to be brilliant. And that's not me being biased. I generally believe that. When I speak to Stevie and when I have seen him, he's just football mad. He loves the game. He understands how it should be played. He's got his own way of doing stuff, which I don't think you see very often. Maybe you do, but maybe I'm just being a bit biased. But I do believe he's got a great career ahead of him, and I fancy him to win.
All right. Just get any of this Steven Gerrard love out your system for when Villa are here. That's all I'm saying.
But all I'm saying to you is you've got to understand he's still young. He's still learning his trade. But I tell you what, if he doesn't end up being a top manager, then I'm wrong. But I think he'll go right to the top.
Here are my top 5 picks for game week 16. Number 1, David De Gea. Manchester United are playing Norwich this weekend. The Canaries have been playing much better recently, but still find themselves at the bottom of the table. Manchester United should not be conceding in this one. Pick number 2, Martin Odegaard. Odegaard has a chance this weekend to score in 3 consecutive games for Arsenal, so he will be fired up to score and grab your fantasy team some points. Number 3, Raheem Sterling. Sterling is only 1 goal short of 100 Premier League goals, and he has a chance this weekend to get it against Wolves. Definitely a top choice for your midfield this week. Number 4, Mohamed Salah. Selected by 73% of FPL players, 53 points more than any other player, and more than double the points of the top scoring forward. At this point, you can't leave him out of your team. And finally, number 5, Jamie Vardy. The highest point scoring forward this season. He's up against Newcastle, a team that have conceded an average of 2 goals a game. To me, that makes Vardy the perfect captain for this game week.
Adam, thanks so much for joining us on the warm-up. Much appreciated, mate.
No problem.
How you doing, Adam? You okay? Good to see you, mate. Just a quick one, mate. Just looking at the last game, 2-2. The performance, I thought first half was excellent. Second half, obviously they came back into the game. What's your thoughts on the overall performance in the last game?
Overall, I was slightly disappointed that we never won the game. With being in front and, like you said, performing really well for at least half an hour in the first half. Felt like we were almost cruising at times. Second half was very disjointed in the fact that Calvin went down, come off, then obviously was struggling. When he come back on, Bill got a knock to the face, went off. Not to make excuses, but we're really dependent on man-to-man marking and things like that. So the changes of mark at that time and stuff was a little bit confusing for the lads.
I feel like your form since you've come back in after your injury has been outstanding. And really enjoyed the way you've played, and obviously you've been a key player when you've come back in. You've kind of taken the bull by the horns for me, and you've got on with it, and you feel like you've been a breath of fresh air for everyone. Talking around when I'm in the club, around the grounds, everyone's saying how well you're doing. Just wanted to give you a big, thumbs up on that, mate, and congrats, and keep doing what you're doing, mate.
Thank you, appreciate that. Thanks a lot. I feel really good, recovering well from games now. So just looking forward to the next one on Saturday and keep building, hopefully, and helping the team as much as I can.
Unbelievable. Is that the first Don Matteo thumbs up of the season for anyone? I think that could have been, mate, yeah.
Well, you know, he's a Scouser, isn't he? So, you know, I've got to look after him.
You talked about your form and being back in the team, Adam, after so long out as well. The amount of ground you're covering is astonishing. I know for Tyler Roberts' goal, Rafinha whipped it in. You were just behind him there, ready for a little tap in there. Tyler not got to it. Big celebrations in front of the Kop as well. It must just feel amazing to be back in the action and back celebrating goals in front of thousands of Leeds fans.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting fitter and fitter as the games go on. I think once I'd proved to myself, I'd done the 90 minutes against Leicester. That was it then. The little bit of cramp in that game in the calves, I haven't had since, and I'm just feeling more confident and comfortable as the games go on. So hopefully long may it continue. Yeah.
Just picking up what the obviously big games coming up. The next 3-4 games are obviously going to be difficult games. You know, obviously you've got Chelsea first. So let's start with the Chelsea game. What do you think they bring to the table, Chelsea? Obviously, we know they've got some quality players, they've got some big physical presences. How do you approach a game like that against a team like Chelsea?
I think us as a unit, we have to make sure that we definitely defend well, first and foremost. You know, going to places like that, you'll know yourself in the past. I think you have to be disciplined. You have to ride moments. Definitely, they have brilliant individual players, so we have to remain focused as much as we can and use the pace that we have and stuff at times on the break and try and surprise them ourselves, definitely.
Yeah, I think as well, they're going through, I wouldn't say the best spell as well out at the moment. So I think personally, they've got a couple of injuries as well. It's an opportunity as well for maybe other people who do come in to take this game to Chelsea a little bit. I know that's the way we like to play anyway. Is attack teams and be physical, but I think you're right, to get the balance is so important when you play against a top team like Chelsea and someone as well organised as Thomas Tuchel. You have to be really organised and make sure you do the basics, as I always say, well in the first part of the game.
Yeah, definitely. I think like I said, when you go to places like that, be as compact as you can without the ball, be hard to beat obviously, and then try and expand once you do have it. Retain the ball as well as you can and go from there, use it as a building block and try and frustrate them. I think sometimes with squads that big, when it's chopping and changing, it's proved a little bit to Chelsea in the last couple of weeks. It can disrupt you a little bit, whereas the continuity for a player, definitely for me anyway, I think if you're staying in the team for long periods, you get a better rhythm, I feel. So hopefully that can play into our hands. Last
season, we got some really magnificent results against the so-called big teams in the Premier League. For you personally, I know it's a team game, Adam, but for you personally, having watched so much of it from the sidelines for quite a long period of time and watching that from a distance, what's the feeling like now to be in the thick of it, back involved and looking at these fixtures, knowing that you're a part of it as well? Yeah, I'm like a kid again. Just for me coming up, looking, for example, the next 2 away games and playing Liverpool Boxing Day it's what you dream of, isn't it? It sounds cringy, doesn't it? But when you're a kid, and especially when you've been out for so long, it's what you dream of. So, yeah, that was tough times for me in the last couple of years, I won't lie. I didn't go to games sometimes, even when the fans were back, because I just didn't want to face the questions and stuff, because it was hard, but I was still obviously watching at home and openly done well. Just,
obviously you were out for a while. Did you have some support around you from obviously players you're playing with now, and also were you helping some of the younger players as well? Obviously, the youth team played last night, or a couple of days ago, in the Youth Cup. Have you been helping the young players as well? Because obviously, you've been through some injuries and stuff. So did you get around the young players and try and give them a bit of, information, a bit of help, what they needed to try and make themselves better? When I first came back at the end of last season, I spent a lot of time with the 23s. I was training with them a lot, and just little things. Whenever any of them had niggles and things like that, they slowly started to come towards me and would ask me questions, and I'd be on the bus with them and stuff like that. So I was trying to help them as much as I can, and again in pre-season spent a lot of time with them, and I feel like I've got quite close to some of them, to be honest, and I feel like they can come to me now and talk to me, and that's our job. The likes of me, Bill, Coop, Stewie, we're there to help them and hopefully push them forward into the first team. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Best of luck for these upcoming games. Wednesday morning, Dom is ready, potentially with a thumbs up. Yeah. If applicable, hopefully it will be. Good luck for the games, mate. Cheers for joining us. Thanks, lads. Thank you. Cheers, Adam. Top man. See you later. Cheers, boss. Take care, lads. Ta-ra. So the Christmas fixtures are here, and Dom, things are about to get tasty, aren't they? These are the big ones. We find ourselves now in a situation when you look at the table
we've put a little buffer there, 6 points from the danger area, 6 points from 8th if you want to look up. So we're in that situation now where there's the opportunity to push on, and then you look at the fixture list and you think, City on Tuesday away, and it all, of course, starts with Chelsea away on Saturday.
Yeah, there is tough games coming up, but as a player, and having been there myself, and around them Christmas period, where a lot of games happen very quickly, and unfortunately we've got some tough games. But I always like to look at it in a way of, these are the games as a player you want to be playing against these top players. And starting with Chelsea, they've got a top manager, top players, and they've got a few injuries. We've got a few injuries possibly as well. So I don't always see it as just because you're playing a top team that gives them any right to beat you. But we know how difficult it's going to be against these clubs. But the thing is, from my point of view, is at the moment I think Chelsea aren't in brilliant form. They haven't, they were lost at West Ham. They lost in Europe. They drew the week before that. So there's an opportunity if we start the game well. Yes, we might have a couple of injuries, but so have they. They're missing a couple of their key players as well. And I think that will affect them. They can dominate you by the way they play. I've been there and I've been beaten well there myself over the years. So it's important, so important that we defend well, whoever plays against Chelsea or against any of them top clubs that we were mentioning that we've got coming up. If you don't defend well against them, you get beat. It's a fact. In the Premier League, you have to be at it from the first minute. And if we're not, we'll get found out. I just think it's important that we don't go there and think we're going to get beat, because I know a lot of fans and people have been discussing about the games coming up and how hard they'll be. There's no point lying down before you've even kicked off. You've got to go for it, and I think if we don't, we'll get beat. But if we do go for it with a decent structure around us, there is an opportunity, because, like you say, Chelsea aren't firing on all cylinders at the moment.
Well, I mean, Thomas Tuchel came out after the match in Europe this week. They've conceded 6-2, which is the least Tuchel-like thing I think is possible, considering what he's done since he's gone there. So they've been coasting in games, taking a lead and then easing off. Is that him just geeing up his players saying, cut this out, or is that a threat? I mean, we scored 1 against Palace, we scored 2 against Brentford, they've conceded 3 in the last 2. Logic tells you we're going to score 3 at Stamford Bridge.
You're right, well, let's hope we do. But no, listen, the Premier League is a different animal. And obviously I think he's a top manager, but obviously he hasn't got that much experience within the Premier League. So I think he's probably finding it, this was probably something that he wasn't expecting to being beat or getting a draw against teams they probably should have beat. But that's the Premier League. That's reality. That's what happens. If you're not at it, at any level in the Premier League, you'll get done. But I tell you what, if we do things well and we're physical against them, you've got to be physical against them, because Chelsea will be at it and they've got some big physical players. I always mention that because when I played against them, you had people like Marcel Desailly, all them kind of type players you're playing up against them, and they were physical and they wanted to win. I don't think they've quite got that physicality. They've got some great players, but if we need to match them physically, we'll get some. If we don't, then they'll beat us.
One position I do just want to talk about before we get your prediction for this match is in goal, because we found ourselves with Meslier, who's been playing fantastically, become the youngest keeper in Premier League history to make 50 appearances. What an achievement for him, and rightly so. He's been brilliant. Meanwhile, Mendy is in a bit of indifferent form, had a bit of a shocker at West Ham and was dropped in the week in Europe. Difficult when your goalkeeper's going through a tricky patch, isn't it?
And that's when you capitalise. You've got to know that. And Bielsa knows his stuff, and the players will know that as well. Get balls into the box, He's been so good, Mendy, in the first part of the season. Now he's having a little bit of a dip in form. That's when you've got to capitalise when you're playing against him. Put balls into the box, whiz balls across him, and Rafinha get with his delivery as well. Make it hard for him. Don't make it easy for him. Don't give him an easy catch. Put fizz things into him. Make it difficult. If I was up against him, I'd be in his face and I'd be getting right in and around him. That's what you've got to do. You've got to try and upset the apple cart, and that's what Leeds have to do against him. And I also want to say, obviously, the goalkeeper for Leeds has been absolutely outstanding. Player of the season for me so far this year. He's been unbelievable. I know there's been, like, Dallas has obviously missed a consistent week in, week out. Forshaw's come and done great. But I do think overall, his performances and getting to 50 games already in the Premier League is unbelievable. It'd be interesting to see people like Nigel Martin and Paul Robinson would talk about him, because he's doing that well. This guy could, end up being a record, getting a lot of, playing for Leeds. He could end up with, 400 or 500 games for Leeds if he sticks with us, because he's that good and he's getting better. And what I love about him is the improvement I see in him every week, and the confidence is growing, and that's amazing for such a young lad. You know, and it won't be long before he gets the full call up for his country as well, because he certainly deserves that.
We won't ruin the Christmas cheer by going too deep and delving too far into the Leeds United injury list, other than say we know we've got big players out. Chelsea missing players as well, as we know. So both squads depleted, but a huge game. And it does start off this Christmas run as well. I'm sensing positivity from you, Dom, if they can go out, be strong and do what they do best.
Yeah,
so now's the point where we come to you for your prediction.
My prediction is we don't get beat. Simple as that. We take a draw all day long. And that's me being brutally honest. If we get a draw at Chelsea away, that'd be a great point. Not many teams go there and do that, so it's an opportunity for us not to get beat and look forward to the next game against Man City. Yeah,
it's a huge few days for Leeds United in the build-up to Christmas. Enjoy the match, enjoy your weekend. Your commentary team on LUTV, of course, will be Bryn Law and Tony DeRigo.